The teams are done with the opening day, and it's time for the individuals to start day number 1 of the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games West Regional here in Portland, Oregon. Brandon Domain, Chase Ingram with you at the Portland Expo Center in downtown Portland. And here on the men's race, chaos has been the pretty standard bearer when it comes to the West Regional. But in this one, 9 games athletes in the field coming into the 2017 Regional.
Oh, and that just makes it more fun, and why it's so exciting when it comes to that final day, because you have such a dense population of high caliber athletes in the field for the men here in the West.
In Heat 1, we'll have one of those 9 games athletes as Cody Anderson finds himself as an alternate that got here into the regional. And the first test is something that might bode pretty well for Anderson.
Yeah, we might want to just call this Mini Murph. Why not? Because you're looking at the rep scheme, the runs. You're starting with a 1,200 meter run on the assault runner, and then you're going into 12 rounds, 4 strict handstand push-ups, 8 chest to bar, 12 air squats with a 20-pound vest for the men. If you kind of do the math, it is basically half of Murph. A lot of these people, a lot of our CrossFit community did this just a few days ago. I know I'm barely standing on 2 legs because of it, and maybe it's a good thing why it's half and why it's the first event.
You're barely standing. I'm barely able to grab a piece of paper still at this point, trying to extend my arms. And Cody Anderson, the 2014 Games athlete, will be in lane number 2. And this is kind of where you see a lot of those people that have multiple regional appearances, but we're waiting on the breakthrough moment for a lot of the athletes here in Heat 1.
I know a lot of those athletes are in Heat number 1, but I do want to touch on Cody Anderson himself. He's over in lane number 2. The guy always has a low qualifying spot coming out of the open. In fact, he has the only Games athlete to have a 45-place qualifying spot 2 years ago. Cody Anderson, he's coming in this weekend. He just blew his ankle out before the open started, got through the open. But this is one where I talked to him yesterday. He said the ankle's okay. It hurts more on heavy back squats than anything else. Well, thankfully, we don't have any pistols to do. But what we do have is high volume coming out right off the bat. You got that run. It's not comfortable to run on that, just pavement in general, on a hurt ankle, a sprained ankle like that. It takes at least 6 months for it to feel good when you run. Now throw on 144 air squats with the vest. You know, he's going to have to get through this first event.
Somebody else I'm kind of curious about, and it's almost on the complete opposite of what you get with Cody Anderson, and that's Cameron Pernich, the 2016 liftoff winner, has a 405 clean and jerk, and here he is in this long endurance test. So the weekend is underway for the men at the 2017 Reebok CrossFit Games West Regional in Portland. And this is going to be a little bit here, probably about 5-6 minutes of watching people on an assault air runner.
It better be 5 or 6 minutes. And I don't mean in terms of you better go that fast. You better go that slow. If you come off the assault runner and you look at the clock and there's a 4 at the beginning of your number, I would almost just like walk back to the assault runner and just run on there just a little bit longer so I can get a break. Because if you come off too fast, I have yet to see anyone across any region to get off this first and finish first at the end.
In fact, if you're looking at the event record pacing, it was 5 minutes and 26 seconds right in the middle for that 5 to 6 run for Josh Bridges en route to a 14:16 event record in California 1 week ago.
And Josh Bridges in California, I got to be there last week, and to see that is that he was the last guy off the assault runner. And here's what's important. It doesn't really matter how fast you run. It doesn't. Unless you're running too fast. Now, at the same time, you don't want to give up 30 seconds to 40 seconds on the rest of the field by going too slow. But if you're great at handstand push-ups, like Josh Bridges is, if you're great at chest to bars, air squats are easy for you, there's absolutely no point whatsoever to run fast here. This is the sucker play of the weekend. Who's going to take the bait to run out too fast? Who's going to get too amped to be here for the first time and run too fast? Don't sit there and go, well, I need to get off fast because I'm not good at handstand push-ups. I'm going to tell you right now, running fast is going to make you worse at handstand push-ups. So just get through this first part without jacking up your heart rate, without getting too out of breath, blowing up your legs. Because what this assault runner does is by about 200 meters in, all you feel is calves, all you feel is hamstrings. With that weighted vest on, it's making it harder to breathe. So make this as easy as possible.
Nearing the halfway point in the 1,200 meter run, probably around that 500 meter mark right about now for these athletes. And this is coming into it, a lot of people were asking that question. We got used to 7 events. Now we only have 6 events. It's a lighter weekend. This one, to me, seems like the amount of work for 2 events in one. But you come into this with only 6 scored events, kind of having to make sure that you don't have all those damaging hits, because you might only get 1 mistake that you're allowed this year.
And what I like to see is that, there is some game planning to be considered, but also with game planning your reps and breaks, but your vest. Look on the right side. That is a kind of a sloppy vest. It's banging around, and to the left, it's super tight. And different athletes prefer different styles. I think on the run, personally for me, after doing Murph a couple days ago, I enjoy the vest being very tight on me when I run, because the jostling around just is uncomfortable on my chest and on my shoulders. Whereas, say, if I got to the handstand push-ups and chest to bars, you really don't want it flopping around, getting upside down. But there is, we'll call it a workout hack. Having a looser vest makes chest to bars almost become chin over bars, because that vest moves so much, and all they're making sure of on the judge's side is that the front of the vest makes contact with the bar. So I'd like to see if anybody's playing, we'll call it strategy or gaming, so to speak, but using the vest to their advantage instead of a disadvantage.
A couple of weeks ago, Rob Orlando, who's with me in Albany for the East, actually started calling them plate to bar pull-ups instead of the chest to bar. But I would wonder if you can play with that distance there on the plate to bar, if you want to go with that route. How much does that affect you on the handstand push-ups with that loose vest?
And it's a very valid question, and it is an issue, because what you don't want is that vest sliding up, slopping into your chin, because there is a plate in the front there. That you don't want that dropping into the bottom of your chin every time you kick up for handstand push-ups. But at the same time, if you're good at them, you're only upside down for 4 reps. Maybe that takes you 10 seconds. I'd much rather be comfortable for 8 chest to bar pull-ups, 12 air squats on the second and third part of this event. To me, I think there's 3 phases in this particular event. There's the run. That's phase 1. There's the first 6 rounds of our 4, 8, and 12. That is phase 2. Phase 3 is those final 6 rounds. And it seems pretty basic breaking it up into thirds. But you see a lot of things shift from first off the assault runner, first through the first 6 rounds, and then those who can finish strong at the end.
On the right side of the screen, Sean Lukacsy in the white shirt with the judge's hand up, 1 lane over. That's Greg Gross, is the first athlete to move under the wall and upside down to start round number 1. And he's going to have a big lead coming off the runner. Cody Anderson has made his way off the runner and to the wall as well. A good 15 seconds back, and we were talking about that. You almost kind of feel like that kid in the class where you finish a test and you're looking around, nobody else is done. You're like, maybe I finished that a little too quick. That might be the feeling for Greg Gross right now.
And I'll say is he came off at a decent pace, a decent time for the 1,200 meter run. I really like to see Cody Anderson up there, because running is probably the most painful thing other than maybe heavy squats or Olympic lifting on a busted ankle. Yeah, he did it back in February, but that thing lingers, especially the severity that you do it for a long, long time. So really hoping to see Cody Anderson mitigate that pain tolerance a little bit and work his way through these 12 rounds.
Anderson in second place after the opening round behind Greg Gross. Gross in the blue shirt, lane number 17, making his individual regional debut.
Because what most of these are now are phases. We've done phase 1. We've been on the assault runner for about 5 to 6 minutes, working our way into our first 6 rounds. A lot of these athletes will take about 45 seconds to a minute at the slowest to get through each round. You know, it's pretty reminiscent of Cindy. That's why we're talking about it being very reminiscent of something like Murph. Obviously, we're doing handstand push-ups versus regular push-ups. But just being able to keep your pace. One of these things, especially when you have failure movements like a handstand push-up, it doesn't benefit you to go out too fast. You actually want to let your body recover in those first 3 rounds of this 12 rounds once you get off the runner. Take your time, kind of let your wind come back. None of these are too demanding on your lungs, but it's those failure movements, right? The upper body press on the handstand push-up, the upper body pull and the grip on the chest to bars, and then just the annoyance of 12 air squats at the end of each round.
There is no surprise here, Josh. A lot of people picking Cody Anderson.
So we start round number 4. Gross is still leading, and in fact, just changed that because Cody Anderson has just grabbed the lead on the handstand push-up portion. And if he's leading the way this early, that is dangerous for the other 19 athletes here in heat number 1.
Here's what I love about Cody Anderson, especially talking about Regional Nate last year, where we had 10 rounds of strict muscle-ups, 4 of them into 7 strict handstand push-ups, and then you have those kettlebell snatches at the end where it's just blowing your upper body up. Cody methodically worked through that, walking down, easy jogs back, broke up his handstand push-ups. The guy can do handstand push-ups for days, but he's smart enough to know what his body can and cannot handle. That is the mark of a true competitor at this level. You don't need to go get off first, even though he was off second. You don't need to blast out your first couple of rounds because it is the last 6 where you can really separate yourself. I enjoy the jog in between. As you get further down, start jogging. You don't need to run in the beginning. The pylon's right there. Walk to it for about 3 or 4 rounds, and then as it gets further away, you can start making up time on people by jogging to it.
Anderson 12 seconds behind the event record pace of Josh Bridges 1 week ago. And that might not so much matter here in heat number 1, but there's still 1 heat of athletes remaining. A couple of solid gymnasts in that one as well. There might not be any better gymnasts on the men's side of competition than Anderson, though.
Well, here's what Anderson doesn't need to worry about. Anybody in heat number 2, he doesn't have to worry about how well they do. In fact, if I'm Cody, I am going out to try to get an event record, not because I'm worried about Josh Bridges' time or worried about the guys in the heat behind me. I want to make people get in an uncomfortable position to make mistakes in the heat behind me. Hey, guess what? Come get my time. Why don't you go and run a little too fast in that first 1200? Go ahead and break up those reps. Take less rest than you think because you're worried about my time because I was in heat 1. We have no bearing for him to work through this. It's just him, the 20 guys on this floor. I would try to set the bar high and make people chase me.
We've been talking about it when it comes to that run, about going too hot. Greg Gross, the leader through the first 3 rounds of the gymnastics portion, finds himself in 5th out of round number 5. So quickly just started fading through position to position. And in fact, the new second-place athlete in lane number 11, you see that chess piece in the middle of the screen, that belongs to Ryan Smith, who's the new second-place athlete.
And what you saw from him, it wasn't too hard. He was just sucking wind on those air squats, and that comes from going out too fast and pushing the pace too soon.
Mentioned Smith now in 2nd, but he's still 30 seconds behind Cody Anderson, who is absolutely flying through this event. On to round number 8. So 5 rounds remain. He's through 7 rounds, only about 24 seconds off the event record pace of Josh Bridges.
Here's the deal with this event. As you go from round 1 to round 12, little things start to have huge impacts. If everybody's good at strict handstand push-ups, you're not going to beat anybody on the strict handstand push-ups. If everybody can hold on to the bar for 8 chest-to-bar pull-ups, you're not going to beat people there. You're not going to beat people on the air squats. What you're going to do is that you're going to work between the movements to beat people. Start your strict handstand push-ups right when you get to the wall. Get to the chest-to-bar fast. Have a piece of chalk sitting on your pylon right there so you can chalk up on your way back to the rig.
Second place athlete Ryan Smith with that chalk on the pylon. 31-year-old out of Big Sky CrossFit, making his 6th consecutive regional appearance. He's only had one finish inside the top 5, that all the way back in 2013 on the Jackie event number 1, to kick off the weekend. Looking to recreate that magic here in event number 1 in 2017. And similar to Anderson, we talk about the ankle issues. Smith has had 3 knee surgeries from his wrestling career back in college.
The one thing about having, Cody's advantage is obviously his gymnastics background, being proficient, upside down, pulling, grip strength. What Smith's advantage is going to be is that he's a wrestler. Wrestlers are psychotic people, right? The way they train, the way they compete, right? They have what it takes from the mental aspect. This is a purely mental workout when all the cards are laid out as far as being good at these 3 movements. It's the one that had the mental edge.
And important to note that 34-second lead 2 rounds ago has been shrunk down to 5 seconds as Smith, one of those psychotic wrestlers, as you put it, isn't slowing down one bit. Anderson's speed is dropping, though. You see the difference between the top 2 and the rest of the field. The next 3 athletes just now moving their chest piece into the round 9 marker. Anderson and Smith getting to their round 10 marker at the same time for the air squats.
Now we're moving into phase 3 of this event, the second half of the round of 12, rounds 7 through 12. Now what I saw Cody do is that he looked over and saw Smith running to the pylon, and he sped up. So maybe the time difference is a product of just not being aware of the people around you.
Neck and neck with 3 rounds to go as we start round number 10 of the gymnastics portion. Smith with a little bit quicker of a transition. Anderson quicker through the reps. So Anderson will retain the lead going to the chest-to-bar pull-ups.
Now, the only thing that can save Anderson here is that Smith is working really hard to stay with him. Look at the pull that he has. Smith had pushed very hard in those middle rounds to catch Cody. And that's exactly what I was talking about. I'll be curious to see if Smith can maintain this through the last 2 rounds.
5'7", 172 for Cody Anderson. 5'11", 195 for Ryan Smith. As they battle it out with now 1 round remaining. 1 second, the differential between Cody Anderson in the white shirt, blue shorts, and Ryan Smith in all dark gray.
Cody kicked right up to the wall. So did Ryan, but Ryan is struggling through these hands. Oh, I say struggling. He's still getting them done. I wouldn't be doing any of these if I were up there. But look at the pace on Cody Anderson on the left. He has been waiting. He's been baiting Ryan Smith to come get him. He baited him into it in round 9. This is exactly what I wanted Cody to do. Set the bar and now come and chase me, because you're going to have to hurt to get it.
Cody Anderson nearly didn't even make it here after a severe sprained ankle right before the open. He needed people to pass on coming here. He gets his shot as an alternate, and Cody Anderson makes the most of it. Your Heat 1 winner at 15:07. Ryan Smith won't be far behind at 15:18 unofficially. And your top 2 times in Heat number 1 are very legit times going into Heat 2.
That might be some of the better times we've seen in the past couple of weeks during the regional. And these are, Cody's one guy you're looking at coming in. I think in the middle, he was just kind of taking his time, biding in between with everybody else. And then once he saw Ryan sneaking up on him, he saw him crank up the pace a bit.
Battle for third. It's currently led by Tyler Eggeman, but 1 lane over. In lane 18, Sean Lukacsy trying to put some pressure on him. But Eggeman, 24-year-old making his regional debut, will take 3rd place here in Heat number 1 at 16 minutes and 13 seconds. You can see him fired up, one of the last entries into the regional. And he sits in 3rd coming out of this one.
A lot of times when you're coming into the region, especially being brand new, there's a huge question of, do I belong here? Should I even have accepted my invitation? Should be a big confidence boost with him moving forward.
Foot race race down the floor between a couple of regional veterans, and I'm not even going to try to call that one. 0.06 of a second. Give it to Mac Unruh in his third regional appearance over Connor Vale in his fifth.
I was talking about there being 3 phases in this event. The 4th phase is trying to get your weight vest off when the workout's over.
Brendan Lawyer will be our 6th place finisher here in heat number 1. So 6 times all around that 17-minute or less mark. I don't think there's been many heat 1s that have had times like that.
The only struggle you see with athletes on the floor is the handstand push-ups, because they're hard enough strict, let alone 48 for an entire event, plus the pull-ups and the air squats. But throw that vest on, and it's just a whole new world out there with how difficult this can be. So some of the guys you see in the back half stuck in their first 9 rounds, it's just coming down to having the stamina and endurance when it comes to that strict movement.
6 athletes working on the final round. The only one on the squats in lane number 12 is George Sanchez. Veteran of the United States Army. Will be our 11th finisher here in heat number 1 at 18 minutes and 15 seconds. Greg Gross, the early leader, will find himself outside of the top 10 here in this heat.
And it is just totally gassed. And, you know, that comes out being a little too hot out the gates. Or maybe he's just a great runner, and that's as slow as he could go. And just not great at the other movements. I mean, that can be part of the case.
I have no clue what you're talking about when it's great runner and that's as slow as you can go.
I can't run any slower. I don't know what you want me to do.
Battle for position in lane 16 and 14. It's Cameron Pernich in 16 on the near side. In lane 14 is Drew Thatcher in the lighter blue shirt. Cameron Pernich and Drew Thatcher are going to have a sprint. Only one person got that memo, and Thatcher will take the position as Pernich kind of coasted to the line. He got blown by on that 50-foot sprint.
I think with all the point differentials we've seen over the weekend is that it's not over until you cross the finish line. Points will matter when they accumulate over 6 events in 3 days.
4 athletes left on the floor as we have about 5 minutes until the 25-minute time cap here in our opening heat of individual action at the West Regional. Terrence Limbert in the brightest shirt on the floor, working on round number 12. He's one of 3 at this point. Lane number 9 already on the squats is Leo Grimpa. And Leo will take the position. That'll be good for 17th here in heat number 1. Terrence Limbert, 23-year-old, already making his 5th regional appearance, all in 5 consecutive years. We'll start off in a rough position, 18th in heat 1. Pete Barner closing out his air squats in round number 12. Fourth consecutive regional appearance of his 24. Barner will be 19th place here in heat 1, and that leaves one athlete all by himself, and that's Tanner Sturm, the 25-year-old making his regional debut. Third fittest male registered nurse in the 2017 Open. He's got that lonely feeling down in lane number 1 with plenty of work left.
Like I said, it's just one of those, is that you've got 2 movements in here that are failure movements, not just fatigue movements. The run is a fatigue movement. The air squat's a fatigue movement. Failure movement, I just mean, it's like I said, handstand push-ups. When they go, they're gone. They're gone for good. You're going to have to do singles, break them up a lot. And then you get to something like pull-ups. If your grip goes, that's also gone for good. So you have to be sure that you don't start too quick, get too far ahead of yourself. You can see how tough the handstand push-ups have gotten for him.
Cody Anderson, there was no such thing as a failure movement for him here in heat number 1. So he'll have the time to beat with one heat remaining at 15 minutes, 7.45 seconds. Nearly 10 minutes ahead of that 25-minute time cap, which is the opponent for Tanner Sturm, who can't lock out that final handstand push-up.
It was hard, especially here, is that, you know, when you start to fail on handstand push-ups, you're the last one out there. Yay, the crowd's cheering for me, but I guarantee it's like, oh, thank God, I have everybody watching me struggle over in lane number 1. And it's just one of those that it's a tough move, and you got to rest more than you think, and it's hard to do at the end. And at least he's got a little bit of a smile on his face. He knows the position he's in, and it's just a hard movement for him.
The next to last entry coming into the 2017 West Regional. It's had a nice progression over the past couple of years in the Northwest. 100th in the Open 2 years ago, 35th last year. Bumped himself up to 22nd this year, and he will get that final handstand push-up and onto the chest-to-bar pull-ups.
And you can see it's one of those, too. It's the grip goes, the arms go. You get enough break between the two, but it's just one of those compounding movements that get exponentially more difficult as the event moves on.
Nice show of support from the crowd as he'll start his final 12 air squats. The heat winner watching, giving him a little help on the way. There's the final squat and the run to the finish mat for Tanner Sturm. He will beat the time cap, but he'll be the last one to do it here in heat number 1 at 23 minutes and 39 seconds. About 8.5 minutes ago, Cody Anderson set that time to beat at 15:07.
Almost forgot how well he did in that between that time, but Cody was actually the second one off the assault runner. And then here's this nice steady pace. This was round 1. Look how smooth that is. Nice, easy squats, getting a little breath at the top, and he just worked back and forth the entire time. This good, proficient movement from Cody Anderson, and that's where he shines, especially when you have these bodyweight movements. Chasing him in the middle was Ryan Smith, and he made a good charge. It was about round number 9 where he started sprinting up for Cody. He pushed a little too hard, kind of redlined just a hair, good enough for second, but Cody Anderson, start to finish, methodical pace, got himself a heat win.
An alternate to get to regionals, but it's a start Cody was looking for, and Cody Anderson is with Nikki Brazier.
Hey man, nice job. That was an incredible win, and I know that it was definitely a tough event for you, especially considering the ankle injury that you had just before the Open. How did you make it? How'd you fare?
I mean, a lot of prayer, and the ankles had 4 months to heal, so I can still feel a little bit when I squat, but this stuff wasn't too bad, so.
It's a big weekend coming up. Anything in particular you're looking forward to?
Muscle ups and overhead squats, obviously, but I like all the events. I think they'll be fun.
You did a great job. Congratulations, a big first win here for you today.
Thank you.
Anderson, your Heat 1 winner at 15 minutes and 7 seconds. Only 11 seconds quicker than Ryan Smith. You got to go another minute until Tyler Egeman's time of 16:13 winds up as the rounding out the top 3 coming out of Heat number 1 with 1 heat of athletes remaining.